Hey guys, welcome to Analytic Geometry. This is the first video of a series of videos that are designed to help you with your homework. All of these videos will provide you with examples, and I'll try to explain some of the stuff we went over. The goal is for them to be quick, but at the same time, make sure you guys have enough information or important information that you could finish the rest of your homework. A couple things. Now that you're joining the class, you're going to need a calculator, and I recommend a calculator like this one. These calculators do a lot of neat functions, like they have a fraction button and they have a square root button. Fractions are important to understand, but at the same time, these will save you a lot of time. Then you're also going to need a compass. A compass like this. Don't go buy any kind of fancy kit or anything like that. This compass will do everything you need it to do, and we will be using it probably towards the beginning of September. Okay, if not earlier is what I'm trying to get at. We may get to it at the end of August. But these things are actually kind of hard to find sometimes, definitely at the beginning of the year, so you want to get one as soon as possible. All right, let's take a couple of examples on 1-01. Solving for a variable. Solving for a variable is a very important skill in this class. We need to be able to do it. Even though the class is called geometry, the analytic part is a lot of algebra that they're throwing on top of that. And as a result, you spend a lot of time solving equations, cross-multiplying, trying to get a variable isolated, and all that type of stuff. We're going to be working on that over the next couple of days. All right, so let's take a look at the first example. Here's the first example. Now, you will notice here that there's an olageometry icon. That icon is also on your worksheet. I'm trying to tell you ahead of time that if you get stuck on a problem, that you can go onto this video and I'm going over that for you. I tend to try to pick problems other than the examples, so that not only do you have the examples and the notes, but you could also see some different problems. Sometimes in class we only get through 1 or 2 problems depending on how much time we have. But here I have a little bit more time, so I can go into stuff more detail. Okay, so a couple of things here. When I want to solve for a variable, what I'm basically doing is kind of deconstructing an equation, right? So like, for example, this is the example I always kind of use. This book here, when they made it, what they did is they inserted paper then into this binding. So that's what they did. They inserted paper into this binding, bound it, and now we have a book. Well, if I wanted to take this apart, I have to pull the pages out. So in other words, I have to do kind of the opposite of putting it together. That's what we're going to do here. That's a general kind of metaphor for what solving equations is. Now, in this case, we can't jump to necessarily just moving things around, right? The reason for that is because we have these parentheses here, and we're going to handle that first. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to rewrite this. And then I'm going to distribute here first. The reason why I'm going to do that is because then I can kind of combine like terms, and it will make this kind of intimidating, long-looking equation smaller and easier to deal with. And that's one of the things we want to stop and do when we try to solve these equations, is look at the whole picture first. Try to figure out ways to make it easier for ourselves. And this is one way to do it. Do I have the option to remove that 4, or add that 4 to this side and, maybe deal with this later? Sure. But look what I just did here. I was able to distribute this and make this smaller. Not only that, but I notice that these guys are like terms. So I could add them together. And that's what I'm going to do. This is -4 plus -12, which gives me -16x. Considering that this is the first time you're doing this is a high likelihood that you're pretty rusty. Take your time, and it should come back to you pretty quickly if you had control of it before. If you didn't, now's the time to get control of it. You can do it. It just takes a little bit of practice. So we're going to subtract this. That's 32 equals negative 16x. Then what's happening here is we're multiplying these together, so I'm going to divide them. All right, negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1. That's important to remember, because if it became 0, then the x would go away. 32 divided by negative 16 is negative 2. And there's our answer. Okay, next. All right, let me make sure you can see that. Yep, good. All right, so this is a fraction. These are also called proportions or ratios. Now, this is very intimidating for us to look at because it's a fraction. We get scared of those. Don't worry about it. There's a couple of things we can do here. I'm going to kind of show you the long way to do this, I think. And the reason for that is we can eventually learn to cross multiply, but I'd like for you to know where that comes from. So I have x plus 1 over 7 equals 7 divided by 3. I can get this 3 out. I can get this 3 out, or I can get this 7 out by multiplying it, because it's currently dividing. So what's going to happen is if I multiply out this 7 here, it's also going to multiply that 7. And if I multiply this 3 out, it's going to go here. What that is, the shortcut to that, which I guess I will show you, is called cross multiplication. And you see that quite a bit, where I take 7 and multiply them this way, and I take the 3 and I'm multiplying this way. So now I have 3x plus 1 equals 49. So let me just explain what happened. I took that 3 and multiplied it to x plus 1. And then I did 7 times 7 and I got 49. Now I'm going to distribute. So I have 3x plus 3 equals 49. Now I'm going to subtract 3. I have 3x equals 46. Then I'm going to divide by 3. And let's see what I get. And this is where the calculator comes really in handy. I don't have everything memorized. And look at there, I got a fraction. That's not a big deal, okay? There's my answer. It's good enough. Don't worry about converting things to decimals. Get used to the idea of keeping things as a fraction. We're going to be handling that a lot this year. There is nothing wrong with this answer. That is a number. That's a number we could use. If you look at a tape measure, turns out tape measures are full of fractions. So are measuring cups. Okay, next. Here we go again. This time it's a little different though. I have this fraction over here, then I have plus y. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to subtract that y to this side. So I got z equals y plus m over x. I'm going to subtract that y to move him over. Some folks, they like to draw a line here to kind of make sure they keep everything in a column, and that's cool too. Keep in mind, don't get intimidated by the fact that there's no numbers here. That's okay. Just do what you know to do, and just understand that z and y don't combine. They just sit next to each other, and that's the end of it. In fact, in some ways, if you think about it, having no numbers makes life a little bit easier. Now I have m. Now, what I need to do is I need to get x by itself. So there's two ways I could go about this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this x out from here. This is the long way of doing the cross multiplication that I was going to show you before. So now I have x, z minus y equals m. Then I could actually divide z minus y as a term. So I have x equals m over z minus y. Okay, guys. I hope you guys found this video helpful.